everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Letty and this is Bugs Books. And this is my birthday vlog part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, you can go ahead and watch that now or after this video. It's not really important which order you go in, but today is my birthday. Not actually today, but on February 8th when this video is uploaded, it will be my birthday. And so for the purposes of this video, today is my birthday. And in part 1 of my birthday vlog, I did the birthday book tag, but now in part 2, I am going to be giving you 29 book recommendations because it is my 29th birthday. And this list is like in no way a tiered list. These are not my 29 favorite books. I don't think I could rank my 29 favorite books if I tried. These are just 29 books that I felt like recommending you, whether they just came to me off the top of my head when I was making this video, or whether I feel like these books aren't talked about enough, or for some of it I was just scrolling through my Kindle and being like, oh yeah, I like that book when I read it, I'll add it to the list. So this is in no way like my 29 favorite books or anything like that. It's not written in any ranked list. This is just 29 books that I would recommend to you for my 29th birthday. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Number 1 is The Letter Tree by Rachel Fordham. This is a historical fiction novel that takes place in the 1920s, and it's super good. It's kind of like a forbidden love between two warring families, and there's a zoo involved, and there's letters involved, and it's super cute. I absolutely love this book. Number 2, oh, and another thing about this list I will say is that there are some repeat authors on here, but I tried to only put 2 or 3 books per author on here. I tried to kind of stick to 2 books per author, but I think there's one where I've had like 3. Anyway, so some authors I would recommend anything on their list of published novels, but I tried to only put a couple on here so that we would have a wide variety of authors. Anyway, unpause, back to the list. Number 2 is Positively Penelope by Pepper Basham. And really, the entire Edgewood sibling trilogy is amazing. Positively Penelope just happens to be my favorite of the trilogy. But yeah, the entire trilogy. Like, read about the Edgewood siblings, y'all. It's so good. They're so good. So fun. Number 3 is No Other Will Do by Karen Whitemeyer. This is a standalone about a women's colony that is under attack. So the main character calls in her childhood friend to come and help them out. It's a slow burn and forbidden love going on. It's so good. I love it. Number 4 is Hold Her Close by Hannah Curry. This is the 3rd book in a series, and it deals with chronic illness. So the plot was very special to me in that way, and it's so touching. It's so touching, and the spiritual content is top tier. Like, if you want really good spiritual content, read this book. It's so good. Number 5 is Wedding at Sea by Melissa Tagg. This is the 3rd book in the Mere Harbor series and also my favorite book in the series. It's so good. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's so good. This is a series that you actually do kind of have to read in order, but I'm just putting this on there because it was my favorite book in the series. Number 6 is The Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis. This is in the Chronicles of Narnia series. Obviously, I would recommend the entire series, but The Horse and His Boy is my favorite book of the series. It takes place during the golden age of the Pevensey reign of Narnia, and it actually follows a little boy and a little girl and their talking horses as they try to escape their lives in neighboring kingdom and to find refuge in the land of Narnia. Number 7 is Chasing the Sun by Tracy Peterson. It is the 1st book in the Land of the Lone Star series. I love the entire series, but this one is really, really good. And it is a historical fiction which follows a man who was injured in the Civil War, who fought for the Union, and so his land in Texas was seized and given to a woman and her father who supported the Confederacy, and the father has disappeared, and so this woman is taking care of the land as well as her 3 siblings when this guy comes home and tries to reclaim his land. So, number 8 is Every Storm by Lori Wick. This is a standalone novel that takes place during World War II, and there is a girl who she and her twin sister are teachers in Australia, and they are in a small plane that crashes on an island in the Pacific, and everybody else on the plane dies. She's the only survivor, and she is rescued by an American, I forget what type of ship it is, but it's a small, I think it's just a patrol ship in World War II. So, number 9 is Through Waters Deep by Sarah Sundin. This is the first book in the, I don't know the name of the series, but it takes place in Boston, and it is a World War II series. It's really good. Again, I love the entire series, and would recommend the entire series, but the first one is really great. The third book in the series is also really, really good. I actually debated on whether to put the first book or the third book on here, but I went with the first book. There's a little bit of mystery in each one, and yeah, they're just really good. Number 10 is A Song for Silas by Lori Wick. This is the second book in the Place Called Home series. And again, I recommend the entire series, but I particularly love this one because I particularly love Silas as a character. So much so, in fact, that the name Silas is one of my top names for if I ever have a son. I mean, not just because of the character in the book, because I really like the name, but I fell in love with the name because I read this book. Anyway, so just a little tidbit. Number 11 is Guard Her Heart by Hannah Curry. This is the second book in her Crown of Promise series, which is Hold Her Close, I mentioned earlier, is the third book. This is the second book, and it's a little bit of a Robin Hood style retelling. Again, a gender bend, which I mentioned gender bends in my part 1 birthday vlog video, but this one is a bit of a gender bend as well because it has a female Robin Hood style character, and it's really good. I love this book. Yeah. Number 12 is The Heart's Charge by Karen Whitemeyer. This is the second book in the Hanger's Horseman series. Took me a second to think of that series name. And my favorite book from that entire series, it is a two-part novel in the fact that it's a romance with 2 different couples in it. So that's really exciting. And it takes place in an orphanage with lots of fun kids and lots of fun kid antics. The number 13 is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. This is my favorite classic novel, and I mean, I'm sure you've all heard of Les Miserables. It follows the story of Jean Valjean and his life from his escape from prison all the way up to his death of old age, and just everybody that he impacts and all the little ripple effects that his actions make in the world around him. It's so good. It is a story of redemption and of how we impact the lives of others, even with the smallest of actions. Number 14 is The Lace Maker by Laura France. This is a standalone novel that takes place during the American Revolution about a girl whose father is a British government official in the colonies, but she gets abandoned at the start of the revolution and is taken in by patriots, so she really has to question her own loyalties and decide what she really supports, and it's so good. Number 15 is Love Finds You in Annapolis, Maryland by Rosanna M. Light. This is another revolutionary novel, and it is a second chance love story, and it has some of the best quotes like ever. The spiritual content of this book is amazing. It's so good. Number 16 is Fool's Rush In by Janice Thompson. Janice Thompson is a super fun contemporary author. I think she has a few historical novels as well, but I think that they're published under a different pen name. But anyway, she is a super fun contemporary author. The first series that I read with her was the Weddings by Bella series, which Fool's Rush In is the first book in that series, but I also recommend her Hollywood series. I forget the name of that series though. But anyway, for this list, I'm going with Fool's Rush In because it's so much fun. It takes place in Galveston, Texas, which is not too far from where I live, and with a big Italian family who's it's so cheesy, but it's so funny. It's so good. Okay, next at 17, we have Hope Between the Pages by Pepper Basham. This is a dual timeline novel. It's got some modern storyline and some historical storyline, and it's really, really good. It was one of the first Pepper Bashams I read, and it absolutely made me fall in love with her writing. At 18 is The Gentleman Spy by Erica Vesh. This is the second book in the series whose name I can't remember, but It's a really, really good book, and it kind of, a lot of her more, like her last couple series, they tie into this universe. Like the main character in this book is a side character in her, like in the series that she's writing now and the series that she published before this one. So it's kind of a good, even though it's the second book in a series, it's kind of a good jumping off point for this universe that Erica Vesh has kind of created with her recent published books. Number 19 is The Legacy of Longdale Manor by Carrie Transky. Excuse me. This is another dual timeline, and it takes place at a manor house in England, and it is just really, really good. Both storylines are really good. I love this book. Number 20 is Set the Stars Alight by Amanda Dykes. This is my favorite Amanda Dykes novel. It's got a bit of a mystery regarding a lost ship. Again, it's kind of a dual timeline, and this novel is beautiful. Did I say it was my favorite Amanda Dykes novel? It's actually not. I think that her World War I novel, whose name escapes me at the moment because my brain's not working, I think her World War I novel is actually my favorite. But this one is really, really good too, so I recommend it. Number 21 is The Rose and the Thistle by Laura France. This is a Scottish novel, and it is a slow burn, and it is a war novel, and it is a romance novel, and it's just really good. It's really good. Number 22 is The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipps by Sarah Brunswell. This is a contemporary novel. It's definitely different from all the rest on this list because it's not a romance. It follows a old woman who is on hospice, who is telling her life story to a newspaper reporter who's going to write her obituary for her. The spiritual content in this book is just so good, and the book itself is so moving. It made me cry, and it's a book that I absolutely love. Number 23 is Worthy of Legend by Rosanna M. White. This is the third book in the Secrets of the Isle series, and it's one of my all-time favorite books. It's a bit of a mystery and a bit of a treasure hunting book, and it has to do with some King Arthur legends, which is fun. And I just absolutely adore the spiritual content of this book and the two main characters. I think they're amazing. I always say that if I had to pick a book that I feel like represents, that I feel like is just a touchstone to teach how to plot out a spiritual thesis that you're trying to get across in a novel, like this is the book to it. I just feel like the spiritual lesson was built up to so well in this novel. Like, I just think it's written so well. Anyway, number 24 is Whispers on the Wind by Maureen Lang, and this is a book that I just feel like does not get talked about enough. It is the second book in her Great War series, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really like the first book, and although I read the third book, I remember almost nothing from it, so it was obviously not that special in my memory, but I absolutely love this second book. I feel like it takes place during Belgium, during the occupation, and follows characters that are publishing a resistance newspaper, and it's just so good. It's so good. That's all I'm going to say. It's just so good, and I feel like it does not get the love it deserves. Number 25 is A Noble Masquerade by Christiane Hunter. This is the first book in her Hawthorne House series, and my favorite Hawthorne House book. This one gets a lot of hype, so you've probably heard about it, but it follows Ryland and Miranda, and it's hilarious and moving, and it's just really good. Number 26 is A Pursuit of Home by Christiane Hunter, and this is the third book in her, I forget the name of the series, but it's a series about a charity that takes in children out of wedlock children, and this book follows the main character. The female main character is actually a side character in the Hawthorne House series, so we've seen her before, and now we get her story as she kind of has to face her past, and it's really, really good. So good. Christiane Hunter is such a good author, like, so good. So funny. Number 27 is Until Leaves Fall in Paris by Sarah Sundin, which this is my favorite Sarah Sundin novel, and it's one of my favorite novels of all time. It's a World War II novel that takes place during the occupation of Paris, and it is about two Americans who are in Paris during the occupation. One, he owns an auto factory that the Germans are currently using, and so he is known as like a turncoat, and then an American girl, she is an ex-ballerina who bought an American bookstore from her Jewish friends so that they could leave the country, and their story touches my heart every time. I absolutely love it. Number 28 is Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. This is one of my favorite books of all time. It is the book that got me into reading when I was a girl, so it is always one that I recommend. And finally, number 29 is On Wings of Devotion by Roseanne White. This is the second book in her, I cannot think of series names today. I can't think of the name, even though I know the series. Shadows over England, I think, maybe? It is one of her World War I series, and it follows a British Air Force pilot who has, his entire squadron has died, and he carries a lot of guilt because of that, and he becomes friends with a nurse who nurses injured military men back to health, and she has a very strong faith, and she takes it upon herself to kind of encourage him and to, I wouldn't say evangelize to him, but to witness to him. And they just have a wonderful story. I love the character of Camden. He has such a beautiful story, such a beautiful heart, and his redemption is wonderful, but he's also like really witty and charming, and that makes him super fun. I loved Arabelle. She's such a great character, such a great witness, and yeah, this is one of my favorite White novels and one of my favorite novels of all time, so I definitely recommend it. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. That was 29 book recommendations for my 29th birthday. And yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.